anticipate that layoff was going to come. As far as to who it was going to be to, that was the part that fooled BYU.
And Anna Pottigill puts one home in the top right corner. Her 22nd goal as a Razorback in Arkansas after getting just one goal that entire road trip through North Carolina. Able to dent the score column first.
Well, that's big time for the Razorbacks to be able to take advantage of that opportunity early. It's such a rarity. I mean, you can go through the entire season and probably not have a play set up like that. The direct touch by a keeper, back setting up an indirect free kick in the 6-yard box is a very, very rare thing. You don't see it very much, and needless to say, it's something teams aren't really going to practice very much because you just don't see it.
Well, that was my next question. It can't be something you spend a lot of time working on over the course of whether it be fall camp or even in season.
The one thing that certainly has been a calling card for Colby Hale, and opposing coaches around the country know this, is we got to defend on set pieces. So even though it's not your traditional set piece, it's Colby Hale drawing it up, and you know it's going to be dangerous and probably effective.
So BYU playing from behind after a game against USC where they felt like they struggled to put a game away. Weren't exactly thrilled with the finish. Now Pottigill, who had the early goal, trying to win the foot race down the right sideline with Vaca. Leveni Vaca, they call her Lava. She was in a foot race with Pottigill.
And Leveni Vaca, she's got some wheels back there, but everybody knows about the speed of Anna Pottigill. Of course, she could tear it up on the track at the high school level, and she could run track in college if she wanted to, but Vaca has got some speed as well and did a good job to make sure she stayed in front there and didn't allow anything freely down the line for Pottigill.
So Pottigill, the early goal for the Razorbacks. And even though this team is so deep and so talented and so many returners that in a non-COVID year would not be back, when you start 0-2 against top-level competition, Josh, I think it even magnifies the importance of getting off to a good start to try and win tonight's match.
Oh, no doubt about it. And if you ask these primary players, especially the super seniors for Arkansas, they're not going to tell you that they're okay with going on that East Coast road trip and going 0-2 no matter who they're playing. They're not okay with that, and you know that. And that's that high standard that Coach Hale has set for the program and that these players have upheld and built upon. It's a reason why they have been able to achieve the level of success that they have in their tenure. But you called out, the shot differences as well. That is one of the key things to look at, is just the way that those matches went. It's one thing to come out on the losing side or not getting the W, but to be very limited in your offensive opportunities is something that they're not used to either.
BYU trying to clear. There's Mozingo, reigning WCC Player of the Week for her fine efforts in that win against USC.
I don't think it came to surprise of anybody that she was the recipient of that, and what Coach Rockwell said was a breakout game for her against the ranked USC Trojans in front of that roaring Cougar home crowd.
Huge crowd of more than 5,000. Great crowd here tonight. And the home team able to put one home early from Pottigill. And there is a whistle.
And that's one of the things I think that will help BYU is when you play in front of that amount of people, even though tonight the majority of them aren't cheering for them, that's an adrenaline rush to be playing in front of that big of a crowd. And they've played in a tough environment on the road at Auburn earlier this season, but they're certainly prepared to come into this matchup against what we expect and have already seen, a very rowdy Arkansas crowd.
There's the kick from Hannah Warner, getting her first real indoctrination into playing every minute.
Welcome back to Moraga. We're about set for the
poked away by the Cougars. It's Jamie Shepard. BYU missing one of their key components in Cameron Tucker. She's also part of the watch list that comprises the best of the country. BYU hopes to get her back, maybe even with a couple of minutes tonight.
Yeah, they're hoping to get her on the field just to maybe knock some of the rust off, if you will, trying to come back from an injury. But she is such an important piece to this team and hasn't played yet this year, but wow, she is so valuable to this team and what they're trying to do.
So the soccer ball, we're going to go retrieve on the street just about.
Well, Arkansas, as the success has grown in this program with Colby Hale at the helm, it's really picked up in the fan base, and you can see it as well. Whenever there's a big-time opponent that comes here to Fayetteville, this crowd shows up, and they're ready for it and ready to provide the support.
Olivia Smith managing up the right sideline.
Just unfortunate there. That flick on came maybe a little bit faster than anticipated.
Crowd was excited for a brief second before the flag came up.
Already offsides, just never really had a shot there to try to get back on.
Smith controlling again. She had 3 assists in that 3-0 win at Ohio State in Columbus, which started BYU's season. Shepard lets one go with the left foot. Wide of the post, past a sprawling Hannah Warner.
Oh, that is a next level strike with the left foot. Ooh, dangerous, and that's, I think when we saw, you mentioned earlier, Hannah Warner, she didn't see much action through the first 7-8 minutes. And even despite that, I think that she knew it was only a matter of time before some shots came pouring in, because BYU is going to get their offensive opportunities.
There's Mozingo. Contact inside the box.
Just a little bit over anxious. Coming in was Jamie Shepard. Came over the back of a Arkansas defender.
Good look at Hannah Warner. Colby Hale said she was one of the bright spots this weekend in those losses at Duke and North Carolina. BYU's going to do a lot of running down each side of the field tonight. There's Coulihan. She was tightly defended, and that's something that Auburn did against her as well. Every time that Michaela Coulihan looked up, there was an Auburn Tiger near her, tracking almost her every move.
And I think one of the things that's made her so good throughout her career is she's not a player that's going to get frustrated easily. So even playing against top-level defenders, she's not going to get frustrated by that, and she'll just bide her time. But going back to that play, it really shows where Arkansas has been so good defensively over the years. And the way that Bree Hunter defended that ball, the way that she was positioned on that first touch, a lot of times you'll see a defender come up and want to get right on that player, and instead she anticipated the first touch and didn't bite on the move.
Coulihan again had one knocked away. And Parker Goins deflects one off Vaca.
Such a good ball played forward as well by Malum to put Arkansas down the field. Of course, those two, Malum and Goins, playing club and high school together, and now in their 5th year with Arkansas as super seniors. They don't have to hear or see anything. They just know where the other one is at by now. Been like that for some time.
Years and years. Here's the throw in from Goins.
So that tandem will continue on to the next level if they choose.
It wasn't much of a
Pauly. I'll back him up a little bit. Into Jackson Kessler, freshman from Acton, California. On the left side. And a bit of a collision there. Will play on. That was Zach Elbacrui who is down for the Mustangs. Redshirt freshman from Temecula, California. And they'll check on him.
That takes some serious skill, the way that Hunter flicked that on between the legs. Watch this with the right foot from Bree Hunter right at near post. Just ever so gently and allowed it to go on through. So close to making it 2-0.
Cassidy Smith, the keeper in that shot, so fortunate that it hit the post and propelled it away. I think we lost another ball and player.
The trees are a pretty backdrop to look at, but it's a lot of places for a ball to hide.
Still trying to find it. There it is. It's almost at the high school. And the Hawks about to have the throw in. There's Houlihan.
That's much better from BYU. We didn't really see a whole lot of that early. There wasn't a ton of movement, and they weren't able to connect passes in their own third of the field to be able to work it up. They know that Arkansas is going to be able to control the pace of play early on, and so to be able to get those types of passes connected in the back, that's how they're going to get a build-up. They like to play the ball forward quickly by style and kind of by default, but I think against this Arkansas team, you're not going to beat that back line with just a long ball played from midfield. So connecting passes from the back is going to be a key for BYU's offensive approach tonight.
Abby Cotter had that one taken away. Even Coach Rockwood said we called our midfielders withdrawn forwards, the way that they like to play and circumvent the field.
Yeah, and they want to make sure that it provides the opportunity for the outside backs to get forward and get involved in the offense. Just like right there with Olivia Smith coming forward. Olivia Smith can play multiple places on the field. And in the meantime, they just shift one of the center backs, Natalie Wells, over.
There's Coach Rockwood. She has seen so much in her time at BYU. Former player, coached the club team, became the varsity team. And 27 different All-Americans in her time there in Provo. And the team did travel yesterday. She said, listen, we can't play on Sundays. We can travel in order to get here and be ready to go, but not afraid to throw themselves into the SEC gauntlet, so to speak, playing at Auburn, now at Arkansas tonight.
Now, she was a real pleasure to talk to on the phone earlier this week as we peppered her with questions, and she was very entertaining of our time, and you can tell just by talking to her for a few minutes why these players love her, and why she's been able to build this program and have the success, not only the level of success that they've achieved, but be able to maintain that. It's
Or is this a corner?
almost unheard of. I mean, in 20
Connor Lieber will take it, freshman from Phoenix.
game.
Parker Goins trying to win possession. Defended that time by BYU and Kendall.
Coach is one of just 14 coaches in Division I history with over 400 career wins, one of the top 10 D1 all-time winningest coaches.
Arkansas was out-cornered 19-3 on the trip. They nearly scored the last time with Bree Hunter. That one deflected away from McKeon. And we'll do it again. Kayla McKeon, the sixth-year senior, trying to add what has been an impressive career already and what has been a strange senior year that never ends. Between an injury, a medical redshirt, a waiver, the COVID year. She's a senior and 2 years older than some of the other seniors, but Parker Goins ready to send one in again. She'll go with the left-footed strike, maybe a chance for a header. That one deflected right at the feet of the keeper, Cassidy Smith, and there was a lot of traffic nearby, and somehow she secured it.
Yeah, even despite the foul call against Arkansas, somebody just got a little bit too anxious inside of the box. And I don't think it was anything intentional, just one of those things when there's so many players there. But even despite that, Smith still had a good position on it.
Far post and it goes past everybody.
Razorbacks have the lone goal from Pottage-Hill. And a diving, sprawling effort that time by Cassidy Smith. Olivia Smith maneuvering a majority of the way down the field before Goins able to send one sideways.
Another look, good cross right there in the box, but a good job to stay home on the near post and then come off when the time arose, and pretty decent marking in the box. There was nothing really there to be concerned about for BYU.
Is the pace, the tempo what you expected?
I think it is early on. What they're able to put together, especially on their home field over the years. Generally, they're able to control things in the early going, especially the first 10 minutes.
That one trickles wide of the post, not terribly close.
So at least from my vantage point, I did expect there to be just a little bit of a surge early on from Arkansas, and BYU taking just a few minutes to settle in before they start to slow things down. But the important thing is what we're seeing now for Arkansas is that they continue to generate those opportunities offensively. And BYU is not a team that's going to rest or relax. They want to make you uncomfortable. That's part of what they're trying to accomplish as a team. Is you see Ava Tankersley come in for DiFilippo, and there it is, who we talked about earlier.
DiFilippo not happy. She thought she may have been knocked down, and Colby Hale was conversing with her as she walked away, and Tankersley replaced her. Tankersley got a lot of activity a season ago, but as Coach Hale has told us a couple of times already this season, he has more starters than starting positions. What's made competition good, and it's made it somewhat unique as far as balancing the time, working on load management, preparing his team for a season that he hopes to have his unit gelling at the right time.
Not only from the game standpoint and what you're trying to accomplish on game day, but think about what that does and what an advantage that is when you're just training and in practice and getting prepared. Having multiple players that are worthy of starting and are high quality. You don't just have 5 or 6, but you've got so many, and it makes training that much more competitive, and it makes you better on game day.
Taylor Malum was competing for that possession. Cross towards Tankersley and sent away briefly by BYU. So Tankersley has those fresh legs into the contest. Competing with Olivia Wade of BYU. Arkansas ranked 13th to begin the year. They fell out of the rankings with those 2 losses against some of the top teams in the country. BYU would love to find a way to be 3-1 after tonight, with that 1 loss coming at Auburn. And Josh, that was a match where Auburn really backed off BYU and forced them to spend a little more time standing around than they would normally like.
Yeah, something that BYU generally thrives in is when they're pressured and when they have to make quick decisions. And Coach Rockwood said, I think maybe we had too much time to think about things. They didn't press us as much as we normally are used to, and it maybe caught us off guard a little bit.
Coulihan was hoping for a chance to head that one in. Tankersley controlling for the Razorbacks.
But she was complimentary, of Auburn in more ways than one, and that's a very good Auburn Tigers team that a lot of people are expecting big things out of this year in the always tough SEC.
There's Kayla McKeon. Baca trying to run that one down. Her twin sister also on this roster. 3 different sets of sisters on this BYU team. There's Abby Cotter. Poked away by Bree Hunter.
It's an excellent ball by Malum, but the offsides flag is up just a little bit too far in front. And it might have been the deflection on that through ball that caused it to not get through in time that forced the offsides. It's tough to see in real time, but it was an excellent touch by Malum.
Yeah, great job by you. The fans celebrating down below. You saw the offsides coming, so no goal, of course. Ready to add to this 1-0 lead.
Now that's the key takeaway, I think. That's the key takeaway. Lack thereof, chances on that road trip, and while that's to be expected in some sense when you're playing at Duke and at North Carolina, but for their standards, it was unacceptable to not produce as much as they're used to, or at least somewhere close to it. But they've certainly done that already tonight, and they've done it in a variety of ways too.
See the substitutions. Emily Hauser in for Arkansas. As B. Franklin takes a seat, the Notre Dame transfer.
B. Franklin has provided an excellent addition to this team already after being here in the spring, but the transfer, and so getting to play for the first time. But also for Emily Hauser, who checked in, she is such a versatile player. There's multiple spots on the field that they can put her. Coach Colby Hale said that's not going to change. We'll continue to move her around on this homestand, and we'll see her do multiple things. But to be able to play multiple spots at this level, it's just a huge lift for Arkansas to be able to slot her in 3 or 4 spots.
We'll talk a little more about the transfers later on. That's only part of this roster management with everybody returning. All the minutes from Arkansas's Sweet 16 game where they lost to the eventual national champions in Santa Clara. And of course, Josh, you mentioned BYU, no strangers to playing against Santa Clara either in the WCC.
Yeah, they're used to facing off against that team year after year. They had a draw against Santa Clara in one of the 2 matchups last year. They were the only team to register a point in standings-wise against the eventual national champions. And BYU was dethroned in the West Coast Conference last year by Santa Clara after a few years running, once again as the conference champions.
Tell you what, if you follow the tea leaves, might be a conference by the name of the Big 12 that might be interested in BYU in the very near future.
I think anybody would. Goes without saying in the quality that they bring in the entire program.
Deviana Vaca in, so they see both of the sisters as Kendall Peterson heads to the sideline. 18:50 and change here in our first half. Razorbacks have the 1 goal from Pottigill. Pottigill has a chance for a run, and it was right into the arms of Cassidy Smith.
Well, it's a great job by Pottigill not to quit on the play, and that's a testament to effort and her speed. As the touch, there wasn't as much on it from BYU in the back to get it all the way across, and because she never quit, it created that opportunity. But a great read by the keeper, Cassidy Smith.
Cotter sends one ahead to Vaca. So Arkansas has had more than a few chances to add to the 1-0 lead. The Cougars, though, would love to find that equalizer at some point here in the first half.
That last play really showed, what a veteran mind can do for you in the back in Cassidy Smith. 7th year in the program. Excellent job by Hannah Warner on the other side, too, to punch that off the line.
Hannah Warner just refused to give up on that play. That ball was bounding in the air so dangerously close to the goal. She may have shoved one of her teammates aside to try and come up with possession. Cougars stay on this end. Jacobs finds Mozingo. And sent long and down the field by the Hogs. And Pottigill pick it up and throw it in quickly. Taylor Malum tried to find Pottigill down the right sideline. I know the Razorbacks were wondering about their early season shape at North Carolina. There was a long delay, weather delay before the overtime, and they felt like maybe they were just a little bit winded. I would say tonight we'll get a lot of conditioning in for these teams. They have been back and forth across the pitch.
No doubt. I expected it to be high energy. Both teams bring a lot of energy and passion to the game, but these early season matchups, especially when it's warm in the month of August and on into September, more times you could expect cramping to come into play a little bit. No matter how hard you train, it's just something about the games that sometimes can get the better of 2 or 3 players before the night is over with.
Brett Dolan, Josh Haley from Fayetteville, Arkansas. Two teams trying to fight it out tonight for a non-conference win as BYU makes another substitution. Bella Felino, sophomore out of California, who scored a goal already this year in.
I think it shows how bought into the team that these players are. In Felino's case, she started the first 2 matches, but then they decided to bring her off the bench in that home match against USC, and she scored a goal.
Owen's trying to win the race. Nifty maneuver. Felino with the cross. And a diving stop on that slow roller by Hannah Warner.
Well, that's a good idea from the left side, and BYU is going to have to mix up the way that they send the ball into the box, because you can't just continue to power it into the corner and expect to get across in the air and try to produce something. That might end up being the way that they are able to get their best chances, but they have to mix it up to open that up, and right there passing it backwards on the ground towards the penalty spot.
Rachel McCarthy in and sends one over the complex. She's been kind of the secret weapon coming off the sideline for a team. Last year in 3 starts, she had 9 goals. She had the 3rd most goals in the WCC, and she was a player, Josh, I think good enough to start, but when she enters, she brings a different tempo and pace than maybe those that have been running for 20 or 25 minutes can handle.
No doubt about it, and she was rewarded first team West Coast Conference last year as a result.
Players being separated include Shepard, and I think that may have been Malum as well. So Zingo will go back to the corner again. The UCLA transfer. Committed to BYU as a freshman. Went to UCLA, found her way back to Utah. She'll go with the left-footed cross. Headed wide by Shepard.
Well, that's a pretty good head put on it by Shepard. There's not too much of a difference in where you strike that on your head from the where it ended up and to that actually being on frame towards the post. But being that far out, I think Arkansas is okay with that a little bit. But you mentioned Mozingo, the path that brought her here to BYU. I loved the way that Coach Rockwood put it to us, is that, as you mentioned, Brett, she committed to BYU early on in high school, then decided to go to UCLA. Some coaches might take offense to that. Instead, Coach Rockwood said, I understand, good luck. There's a spot here for you if you want to come back, and welcomed her back with open arms when she transferred in, and what an impact player she has proven to be.
I think it's the new recruiting philosophy in every sport. Recruit everybody the first time because you might get them the second time.
That's right.
Inside 13 minutes to go here in this first half. Anna Patajo, the lone goal to this point. And a unique one early in this matchup. Each team has had a couple of chances since. Does feel like maybe BYU getting their legs underneath them just a bit after Arkansas seemed to control a bit of the pace in the first 15-20 minutes.
Yeah, no doubt about it that there was a bit of an adjustment period for the Cougars, and one of the most unfortunate and very odd things that could happen was a direct handball by the keeper in the back, as it was just a miscommunication as they tried to play back to her, and her only option was to dive to save it from going in and put her hands on it, which led to an indirect kick. just outside of the 6-yard box, and Arkansas was able to draw something up to capitalize, and it's been the difference ever since. But despite just it being a 1-goal game, there's no doubt that Arkansas has dominated the pace of play throughout this first half.
How many more soccer matches would I have to pay attention to before I'd see something like that again? Give me an idea what I'm looking at for a rarity.
Well, I as far as the goal, how the goal happened, you won't see it again this season. I'd put money on it, and probably not next or the year after that.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And I would even venture to say that a lot of times referees, if they can, they might give you the benefit of the doubt to try to not call that. Like if it's something in between, they'd probably steer on the other side and let the play go. You just don't see it called very much unless it's absolutely blatant.
It's exactly what we had.
But once the play set up, I mean, it showed that even still, it's nothing that's a gimme in the back. Arkansas still had to draw something up and get a little bit creative because BYU put everybody back on the line. So it's not a chip shot or a sure thing or even as easy as a PK for sure.
Sophia Aragon is in. Parker Goins out. That one headed towards the near sideline. I think we're seeing a little bit of that depth with Goins stepping out for the final 10 minutes or so. BYU, though, quickly down the field. Haven't really tested Warner yet. They will now, but that one is wide and high. Started to sail once it got near the crossbar and ended up near the students, overflowing here at Razorback Field.
And we just saw a yellow card issued too late. Going back to just a couple of seconds before that play, how it all started off, Bree Hunter did an excellent job. She forced the play to that left side of the field, and she knew that she had the help on that side, and that's where the defensive awareness comes in for this Arkansas team and why they've been so good defensively, especially on their home field, is the communication, but knowing where the help is. And she forced to that left side. They're okay with a shot, 1-on-2 shot from just outside of the 18.
The yellow card was against Arkansas's outshot BYU 5-3 as we're inside 10 minutes in our first half. There's Delaney. Another Tulsa native also in the game for Arkansas.
A chance to see Cora Dunnick in Tulsa, and a few of the Arkansas players played there as well, but a fine player with a ton of experience, successful resume coming from Liberty. She was all conference all 4 years there, and so another super senior that brings a wealth of experience, but also those Tulsa ties. She's familiar with a lot of the players already on this Arkansas team when she came in.
Lauren Tanner also in the game now for the Razorbacks. Jill, I believe, one out. So this is a challenge for some of the Razorbacks who have not been able to receive starting assignments, and those will be difficult to come by this year to make their mark when given a chance to maybe play 8 or 9 minutes at the end of a half.
And with the roster so big and everybody fighting for minutes, you know that there's a lot of pressure there, knowing that you don't get too many chances to prove yourself, but you do get chances, and that's a key thing. Even with all of the upperclassmen experience and success on this Arkansas roster, Colby Hale made sure and pointed that out to us when we talked to him earlier in the week. He said we've got to get these younger players some minutes, and trying to do that with the non-conference schedule that they play, trying to do that at that time before you get into conference is a very, very tricky thing. A tough task for sure for Coach Hale and associate head coaches Sam.
For a reason, they had the talent to go to North Carolina and Duke and challenge. Disrupted, and that one sent wide, but obviously Colby Hale wanted to give his team a feeling what it would be like for a Final Four weekend when you're playing the caliber of Duke and North Carolina, or then bringing BYU to town, but it doesn't give you a chance to settle into a season playing some of the youngsters in slightly lower pressure minutes.
No doubt about it. And there's, I think, mission accomplished in trying to simulate what a Final Four weekend of the College Cup would look like, which in fact will be played on the home field of the defending national champions this year. Santa Clara will get to host here in San Jose. It's a very historic stadium. It's housed professional teams. San Jose Earthquakes used to play there.
BYU's had 3 shots here in the first half. See if they can get another. Coulihan probing. Coulihan had a streak in her career where she scored in 9 straight games. You speak about rarities. I mean, you're really at an elite level when you can score in 9 straight contests.
Yeah, she has definitely lived up, and I would say for sure exceeded the expectations of a player who was highly touted when she came into the program. But for what she's done and in the record books in so many areas, that's a pretty nifty move by Zoe Jacobs.
Sophia Aragon, did she get whistled?
Just a little shoulder there to stop the run. It'll set up a free kick here outside of the box.
Flag goes up for offsides.
Sophia Aragon, freshman out of California. So Brecken Mozingo had a goal and assist in that 2-1 win against USC. Crosses one that is knocked away. That was a sprawling effort from Hannah Warner, throwing her body in the scrum again. And she's not a taller type goalie, but she seems like maybe a more physical one, and she's not afraid to attack and push some people aside if need be.
Not at all. And the veteran, the experience that she has, she knows the right times and how to do that. Make sure she's in position. A lot of times you can see younger keepers with less experience, they think the right thing to do is to come off their line and be aggressive, and then turns out fighting through 3 or 4 bodies in the box isn't as easy as you thought. But Warner knows how to pick the spots to make sure she's able to make the play.
Some of those balls sent directly towards her have not been pushed with great intensity, but here's the physicality and the push away.
We've seen from a mental aspect, which is no surprise, but for both of these keepers, they're very committed to their decisions, and that's something that just takes time and something that there's no substitute for experience. But both of these keepers who have a wealth of it, there's not a lot of hesitation, and you won't see them second guess a lot of things, which can lead to disaster in the back. Once they're committed to doing something, if it's coming off their line, it's going to happen, and they'll live with the result later.
Warner played in 5 games last year, 13 saves, allowed 7 goals. Arkansas looking for a little bit of clearance.
Warner adapted very well too after transferring in. Remember, the Arkansas did not play but just a handful of games in the spring slate, and so there's very little time to get accustomed to everything.
Coulihan was trying to generate enough space to get a shot on goal. Inside 3.5 minutes to play here at Razorback Field in the first half.
Well, speaking of a veteran and knowing when to make the decision, Haley Van Fossen did a good job to step when she did and cut off the lane and the opening that they had to try to get into the box.
For BYU, number 19, Annie Gardner, replacing number 10, Olivia Wade.
That one poked through. Jamie Shepard controlling for BYU. Coach Rockwood said we need her to touch the ball a lot. She has here in this first half, but not a scoring opportunity for the Cougars. coming off to retrieve that was Cassidy Smith.
Could have been trouble off the counter and a good buildup by Arkansas. BYU stayed home and ultimately Cassidy Smith able to take control. But going back, you mentioned Shepard in that center mid spot, that attacking mid position. We've already seen she can take players one-on-one. That's something I think BYU is going to have continuously in the second half. Is yes, you've got to string together passes, but there's going to have to probably be some moments where you're able to just take somebody, take off of her line, and it just really left no out of Jinx Van Fitch.
First real opportunity to introduce you to Fitch. Split second, it looked like she might have a score chance. Does feel like it's been a while though since the Razorbacks have had a true shot.
BYU settled in nicely as the later part of this half has gone on.
Funny spin on that one as it kicks out. Arkansas had the goal early from Anna Pottigill. That has been it. An Arkansas team that has scored now 2 goals in their 2.5 games. Natalie Wells back, trying to keep that one away.
The offside flag went up again, just a step ahead of the line. But Wells had the position anyway. That was a good job, and she knew that play was solely on her. If that was on sides, she was left all alone back there, and that's a play you've got to make from the center spot.
Almost looked like a postcard, that shot of Razorback field. That was Ava Benedetti, though, that was back there for Arkansas, another relative newcomer, Seattle transfer. Final few seconds here in our first half.
All the scoring here in the second half. Jack Vesberg put St. Mary's ahead in the
10,
60th minute.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
See if the Cougars can get a good look. They will not. Arkansas outshoots BYU 6-4. They lead it 1-0 after 45 minutes of play. And Josh, these teams really getting after it here in the first half.
Both teams bring a lot of energy to the game. They both like to apply the pressure. And for Arkansas, they did what you kind of expected them to do. Home opener, huge crowd on hand here at Fayetteville. They fed off of that energy. They produced a lot of opportunities in that first half, and it leads to a 1-0 lead.
We'll step aside and come back with more at the half. 1-0 Razorbacks.
Gales 3 for the Mustangs, and the only 2 offside flags going against St. Mary's. So, seconds.
Victory here in the home opener. 3rd ranked opponent in 3 games to start the season for Arkansas.
He's got 2 assists.
BYU getting into the box early on and cleared away.
From Olympia, Washington, puts it on goal. And did it cross the line? Cal Poly thinks it did. What a save by Lapina.
Cotter trying to go one-on-one. Hunter
keep it out. He collided with the goalpost and still
played in, stepping in front. Left.
It's a heck of an effort by Lapina.
And never short of getting her chances to score. Arkansas has kept her at bay to this point.
Here's Smith, who really got involved heavily as that first half went on, playing from that right side. And Cameron Tucker, making her first appearance of the season, earns BYU a corner kick. There she is, wearing number 20, Cameron Tucker, battling an injury, but so important to this team.
She was hurt against Weber State, and they were hopeful that she could play a few minutes tonight. Had 12 goals a couple of years ago in 2019.
Driven in towards the penalty spot, and Warner laying out. And just for good measure, to make sure, not taking any chances as they tried to go far post. Look at the athleticism and the reaction from Warner here.
Kelly, how do you think she's played so far through this first half plus?
Oh, Warner has been outstanding. I mean, she is aggressive off of her line, and she is constantly just a leader on the field out there.
She left Van Fossen on the back post saying, so you do want me here or you don't? Whoa. Just go somewhere else next time.
Were you somebody who was jumping around and lunging as much as she is? Maybe she uses that to make up for the lack of height?
Unfortunately, I did that a little too much, which caused me to get concussions. So, yes, I learned from it.
Pass intercepted. Trying to work out of trouble on the sideline, and Hunter will play it forward. Arkansas in that first half dominated from a shot standpoint, but BYU's a team that's not afraid to let it fly from outside of the box, and we saw it a couple of times. Their last match at home of win over USC, Mozingo, who scored the first goal, said our motto is score early and score often. They were really,
right?
Yeah, and score some more. That was kind of pleasing as we talked with Coach Rockwood earlier in the week. Her philosophy on when you get a lead, what to do with it. So many times see teams relax. Play towards the top of the 18. Firing away, and Warner had it covered.
Abby Cotter tried to get that first goal in. She had a start against USC, and they feel like she's going to score a lot of goals before her career is over, just not that time.
Provides a good spark for them. Had that goal against Auburn. And I think both teams still looking for what they want to do. I don't think you could say that either team has the starting 11 set in stone. While they do have a good foundation of that.
Kelly, how challenging is it? See if Arkansas breaks through here.
Potagill's got Malum. First touch is on for Potagill.
How challenging is it early in the season to feel like everybody's clicking on the right cylinders when you're playing such top-tier competition?
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the challenging things about preseason is you're still trying to find your mold and you're still trying to learn how to play as a team. But again, back to earlier, you guys said that Coach Hill does such a good job of, recreating the field and putting different players out there. And he has so much talent that he's fortunate to be able to put players wherever and expect them to perform well.
Foul coming there as Smith was able to head it off the line, and they got Parker Goins, I believe, on the foul. A good job by Smith to be there back post to head it away.
She went down hard. I wasn't sure if she was going to pop right up, but Olivia Smith seems to be okay.
First time played forward, and Warner off her line again.
Feels like she's getting her running in too for a goal. For a keeper.
Yeah. Same fitness test as the field players.
Doesn't seem right.
Good step through and trying to catch Smith off of her line. DiFilippo decided to have a go, but Smith was able to get back.
Do we credit the defense for maybe the lack of some quality shots here in the last 20 or so minutes of game action?
You absolutely do. I mean, both defenses tonight have done that. Have done.
Josh, we saw a number of pretty decent shots on goal. There haven't been a lot since.
It really was sloppy the way that this second half opened, and it hasn't gotten a whole lot better as Warner able to lay down there on the near post. But both teams really struggled in the first 4 or 5 minutes to find feet. Things just looked a little bit out of sync on both sides. Good job by Warner to be ready there, but also to play the positioning off where the defender was at. The defender was going to force the player. Did she give her too much room, Kelly, to cut inside? You never want to give the player the cut back to the middle, obviously, but a wide open lane to the near post sometimes can be problematic.
Yes, those are definitely dangerous situations.
Franklin back in for Arkansas, as well as the veteran Kayla McKeon. Redshirt super senior had to deal with injury in the past in her career and overcame that. Comes back again for the extra year of eligibility.
Games played record, and there's going to be a lot of them right there at the top, and I don't think anybody's ever going to get to that point again.
Excellent play on in the overlapping run there by Goins.
It was a great ball in.
Against two defenders, somehow, some way, finding the space. I don't know how, but Anna Pottigill looked like for a second there might have been a handball.
I thought the same thing, but that was a fabulous cross in and just created that opportunity.
Felt like the Harlem Globetrotter. She was going behind her back and cut backing before she was able to get her 23rd career goal in 2 seasons plus 3 games.
Returning first team All-American, the first United Soccer Coaches first team All-American for Arkansas. Pottigill showing why. And who knows, it can't be inside of the head of the referee, but he might have saw handball too and was just letting that play on. And if that was the case, that's an excellent job.
Definitely playing the advantage.
Olivia Wade connecting to feet. Shepard moves on. Well defended in the back.
We talked about Arkansas only getting 9 shots in 2 games, being outshot 40-9. I think the biggest upset was the fact that Pottigill had just 1 in those 2 games between Duke and North Carolina. Tonight, not only a couple of shots, couple of goals.
Well, the speed, of course, of Anna Pottigill, one of the biggest problems right off the bat. Her skill level, of course, is elite as well, but she just finds different ways to score goals. It's never just one consistent way, and something that makes her so tough to defend, but having all the talent as well around her, you never know when the offensive attack is going to come and where it might come from for Arkansas. We can kind of say the same, though, for BYU, as they've had so many different players involved early on in the year. In the box, hard shot, trying to go far post, and it didn't miss by much. But it was just past the outstretched hand of Warner, and it'll be a goal kick. Strike by Brecken Mozingo, and if anybody's going to put the Cougars on the board, wouldn't be surprised if it would be her with the nose she's had for the goal lately. I'll play back once again to Smith. Deflection back, but no problems there for Warner. Just like that, BYU was able to go the distance of the field on just 2 touches, and something that they like to do. They like to get the ball forward quick. Something that Colby Hale, though, was fully aware of, and he made mention of when we talked to him earlier this week.
Kelly, there might be some teams up 2-0 might pull back a little bit on the gas. I don't think you would expect this Arkansas team to do that even with the advantage.
Absolutely not. Not against BYU, not against a ranked opponent, not ever. Colby Hale, that is one thing he does not allow his team to do. You just keep pushing through and you play the full 90 minutes.
Ava Tankersley will come on. And there was a little change instantly on the field with, like we talked about, that Arkansas will do. They shifted Malum a little bit. Out for a goal kick for BYU. Arkansas getting their first matchup here at home the young season. They'll welcome in Stephen F. Austin this Sunday before heading down to San Antonio, UTSA Invitational. And they'll get Goins there, who just a little bit too aggressive with the shoulder. Good read by Olivia Smith on the touch. Wasn't falling for that first touch by Pottigill, and certainly wasn't going to give her the speed line. Pottigill to Goins. One touch from the 18 that's blocked away by Wells.
Looked like maybe Parker was setting up for a great chance. Obviously deflected away. Arkansas trying to maybe put this one away if they can score next.
Goins does such a good job finding the open spots on the field and creating those opportunities.
Razorbacks will earn another corner. 5th corner kick of the night for Arkansas. BYU actually the higher number, 7 for the match, and they kind of had some in bunches there that really racked up the number, but certainly Arkansas more so than what they had in the first 2 matches. Just 3 combined.
Boy, the horns were out though on that corner kick, weren't they? We could almost feel the press box shaking with all the noisemakers.
When this program really started to elevate, Kelly, you were here for it. You were part of those teams that kind of helped transform things and saw the crowd levels transforming as well. What was that like to see the crowd in Fayetteville really get behind this club?
Oh, it is unbelievable to be back now and see the fan base and how much it's grown over the years. I mean, truly just, gives me so much pride in the work and the things that Colby Hale has done to this program. To see it come so far, it's just awesome.
Some of those top attendance numbers coming back early in the Colby Hale era, those well over 2,000 plus fan bases at Razorback Field.
And I don't know about you, but it just feels a little more normal here in the fall than it did in the spring.
And it was so interesting how everybody around the country had to navigate it differently. For the SEC, they played the bulk of their games in the fall. And for a team like BYU in the West Coast Conference, they played everything in the spring.
I know these girls are very happy to have a fall season, regular season back.
Trying to drop one over the top far side. That stays in. I think everybody thought, including both field players, that that was going to be deflected out. And finally, goalkeeper Smith said, all right, allow me then. Some space in the middle. And now a player down for Arkansas, and there will be a free kick coming. It's Van Fossen, the player down, but a free kick coming for BYU. And this is kind of right at the edge of the distance, where as a keeper, you're starting to really tell them, hey, here's exactly where I want you, right?
Yes, Warner has always done a great job communicating, organizing her back line, and this is where, you know, she shines.
Razorbacks will set up a two-player wall. Direct strike on frame, but no problem for Warner.
Warner has the feel to me of like the middle linebacker or the safety that has 15 tackles. She always seems to be in exactly the right spot, and that ball was tracking right to her.
Yes, she does. Her positioning is always spot on.
Good flick on, and again. Corner. Good pressure put on by Arkansas thanks to a couple of good flick-ons, and another corner kick for the Razorbacks. Both teams make some changes here before the corner. Aragon in for Arkansas.
There's my horns. Those things are out in full force. The kids have them now. Look out, we're all in trouble.
There's no neutral thoughts to the Vuvuzela. You either love it or you despise it. Punched off near post. Popped right back in, but Smith was there and ready.
Well, Cassidy Smith, her 7th year in the program, so many injuries, both shoulders. Also had, I believe, an ACL that was torn. She has 7 sisters. Of course, 2 of those are part of the triplets that she is, so it's a busy household.
Yeah, we really got more than what we bargained for when you asked Coach Rockwood about her 7 years in the program earlier this week. Didn't expect the story to be as fully interesting as it was. It was 3 years, 3 different injuries, and then she made the point of, you know, one of those shoulders still just pops out, you know, every now and again, like it's no big deal.
That's when I start to grimace, but she did say she had one of her best games against USC. The Razorbacks and Pottage have gotten her for a couple tonight. But it's nights like this, whether it's Cassidy Smith or others. I mean, these are games that are going to benefit the Cougars once they get to postseason play. It's going to benefit the Razorbacks once they get into SEC play.
Yeah, a win for the Razorbacks here would be a great win on their resume for postseason play.
Starting to become, though, a physical match as well.
Yeah, you can see BYU starting to increase the speed as well. The goalkeeper's not holding the ball. She's trying to get it up there and create more chances.
Stop the clock here with a player down.
Is this Haley? Van Fossen, I think she has started every single game that she has been part of the program. And she's used to playing a very physical style. Even when she gets up, I think she's good, but see, she's covered in sweat too on a warm night.
2019 SEC Code Offensive Player of the Year.
Entering the match for the Razorbacks, number 31, Ava
Another change for Arkansas and for BYU.
Is this where Colby, with the benefit of the 2-0 lead, can substitute a little more freely to get some fresh legs in?
Absolutely. You got to make the most of that talent that you have on the sidelines to keep these legs fresh and to get more players their playing time.
I feel like you have a little more maybe margin of error than if it would be 1-0 or 2-1, where that one goal could tie things up.
It's also great opportunities for the players on the sidelines to get those chances and make the most of them.
And BYU's dealing with a few injuries, obviously, so playing a little bit shorthanded. You bring those fresh legs in, and you know that if they're going to do anything first, they're going to bring the energy. If I give you 7 or 8 minutes to come onto the field, better be sprinting the entire time. Caught in the act, Cora Dunnick, a little bit of a shove in the back there trying to defend. Really good addition to this team though, Dunnick, the veteran. Into the box and an opportunity. Left-footed shot sent over the bar, just too much on it.
Entering the match for the Razorbacks, number 20, Emily Hauser. Replacing number 25, Cora Dunnick.
Decent opportunity there for Bella Felino.
Zoe Jacobs. Replacing number 16, Kendall Peterson.
That was one for Felino and the Cougars. They really could have used that score as we start nearing the 20-minute mark, just to get them back in this match.
I remember asking Colby Hale a few years ago, as this program really started to reach new heights, and about kind of that core group of players that came in, and Kelly, he kind of pointed back to all the players around your group and said that was really the key for us, because it helped us build the program very quickly and kind of had us ahead of schedule. Was the culture in the program that at that time like, hey, we've already got a great program, not we're trying to build something?
No, I would say we had a great group of girls, but it definitely was a test to the team and who was going to buy into the program, who was going to buy into everything Colby wanted this program to be, which it is today. And so I think I was definitely a part of that rebuilding year with those girls, just who totally gave everything they had to rebuild this program and leave the legacy that it is today.
Talking with some of the former players too over the years, like Kat Davenport, Rachel Riggs. And we see it talking to you as well, though, but there's a tremendous amount of pride from the alumni, former players that still follow this team so closely and are so proud of the accomplishments.
Yes, absolutely. My husband makes fun of me all the time because we moved back here to Fayetteville, and I still enjoy coming to these games, but it's that pride of everything that we accomplished as a team in the years I played that makes me so proud of this program.
It's Coulihan who was knocked to the ground, and she gets up a little bit slow. And remember, Josh, she had the foot injury the other day against USC, so she may not have been 100% to begin with. A swollen foot and bruised.
Yeah, Coach Rockwood told us, she goes, I thought she might even come out of the match, and but the veteran like that and in a big time match, and you knew whatever possibilities of playing that she had, she was going to make the most of them here coming on the road in an important match.
Entering the match for the Razorbacks, number 28, Lauren Tanner. Replacing number 31, Ava Benedetti.
Lauren Tanner back into the match. Averaged nearly 20 minutes off the bench in the first 2 matches for Arkansas.
So how about that? A California native, an Oregon native right there substituting in for each other. Kelly, showing you how this program has expanded the recruiting base too.
Absolutely. It used to be all Texas and Oklahoma, and I know that a lot of the roster still currently is that, but it just goes to show how much of this country now knows who Arkansas is and the staple that they are, not only in the SEC, but in just women's soccer in general.
It's interesting, too, how landing one recruit oftentimes, especially as we've seen in this Arkansas program, you land one and it turns into 2 or 3 down the road, a year, 2 years, 3 years later. But whether it's from the same club, from the same high school sometimes, but...
Yes, word spreads fast, and, you know, girls follow each other and want to be each other. And so it's so cool to see all the different people come to this program and make such an impact.
DiFilippo back in. She was on the SEC preseason watch list, even though a newcomer on the field at least for Arkansas, but the success that she had at Louisville.
And she's a Canadian, right? She's from Quebec, so you start talking about expanding the recruiting base. We're going international with Jessica. And
international experience too at that. She played in the U17 World Cup. It was held in Uruguay back in 2018, playing for Team Canada. Turn it outside. Throw in coming for Arkansas.
Entering the match for the Razorbacks, number 88, McKenna Zoll. Replacing number 16, Anna.
Big night, big crowd, band on hand today. They performed at the half. Feels like we're at Baumwalker Stadium or Razorback Stadium with all the fans packed in here tonight.
Yeah, there's nothing like playing. Yeah, there's nothing like.
Can you feel the difference when there's this many fans here compared to maybe a third or half?
Absolutely, and Coach Hale said it all the time when I played here. It's easy to play the games under the lights and play hard and grind, but it's the Sunday 2 o'clock hot games that no one comes to that, you know, matter, and you got to grind it out.
You're from Houston. You're used to the heat.
Oh, yes, I am. However, it is still humid here.
Finally cleared off of the 18. Good first touch by Hunter, and a lot of space in that far corner. Just couldn't quite turn the hips enough to swing that ball in, and a goal kick for BYU. Clean play. Came in and got the foot in early. Did McKenna Zoll.
She's got some fresh legs too after just entering a few minutes ago. Have we reached do or die time yet for BYU? Obviously, they need to find a way to get one into the net.
Decent opportunity here coming forward. Coulihan, but taken away.
Well, Van Fossen back up moving well after being knocked around a couple of minutes ago.
Good first touch to get past. Arkansas has numbers back. And trying to curl it across Rachel McCarthy. Nobody there, and a goal kick coming. Going back to that last play though, Kelly, once it was basically Coulihan and Van Fossen one-on-one. Is that when the adrenaline starts going for the keeper?
Oh yes, my heart was beating fast for her, but she made that decision. She went in for it, and she did a great job recovering to get back on her line to be ready for another shot.
Well, this is not a good sign though. Warner is down, and the official has already indicated the trainer needs to come on the field. And I'm not sure whether it was the initial movement towards the ball coming off the line or whether it was the recovery. Once the play was blown dead, she went down to her knees.
Well, not a good sign here for the Razorbacks. Another look here.
I'll be honest with you, just catching that at the end of the replay, I'm not sure what transpired. Right now it looks like they've got maybe a bloody nose or something.
Yeah, I think that occurred from the first, as soon as the ball was crossed back.
Well, trying to get Warner cleaned up and maybe clot the blood to keep her out there on the field. No question about it. They don't, not that there aren't other capable keepers on this Arkansas roster, but Warner is your starter, and a 2-goal lead with 15 minutes is far from a sure thing.
Did that ball go right across her nose, right across her face on the way by?
It kind of looked like it, didn't it?
Obviously got enough of her if it grazed her to cause some problems and some blood, but not enough to, take that square to the cheek. I mentioned earlier, it feels like she's kind of a football player mentality who gets all the tackles and makes all the plays. Now she's got the the bruises to go along with that football. Let's see if this went right by her nose on this kick.
Rachel McCarthy on the attack for BYU.
I don't know if it did or
Sure
not.
didn't look like it on that one, did it? But she went down immediately.
That's right.
Brett, I think my parents would agree with you that being a goalkeeper is very much like being a football player because they saw every injury in the book with me.
Living and dying with those injuries. I have a feeling you're correct. You talk about Hannah, though, again, 5 games last year. She gave up 7 goals, 13 saves, already had that much experience, it feels like, this season in what is 3 games. Got the nose gauze in there as well, so it feels like her learning curve has really been impressive in the first 2 weeks with a lot of season left.
In the match for the Razorbacks, number 22, Parker Goins. Number 16, Emma.
Excellent hustle there by Emily Hauser to keep it alive. Knock it down the line, and Arkansas gets the throw out of it. And Goins, who's so strong on the throw, into the box. And across the near post. Smith there to secure it, though. Great effort, though, by Hauser to even make that play possible. The fancy footwork. Goins trying to get ahead on it.
All we needed was the finish for maybe a highlight reel play.
Parker Goins. Good help defensively, and BYU able to take it away and turn it up the field. Folino. Good job to lead the player into space. Excellent step in the back. Dunnick.
You mentioned the transfer from Liberty. Dunnick was also a 3-year captain, so she brings some immediate leadership, even though she hasn't been with the program like many of these super seniors have for seemingly half a decade.
Coach Colby Hale told us how easily she has fit in, and part of that obviously is her with the background you mentioned, and he also talked about the existing players, how welcoming that they always are. That stuff doesn't happen by accident, though, but he never takes the credit for it. He always puts the spotlight back on his players. But
what did he say about his super seniors? They'll slash your tires. They'll do whatever it takes. that exist.
That sounds just like Coach.
Also called them Sharks. They want to win. I love that term, the Sharks.
Kelly, did you see that kind of mentality early on too, because there were some big wins early on in Coach Hale's career with this program, but was it like whenever there was one highlight win, was it just, all right, let's go get something better now?
I think we were always chasing after the next one. We were always chasing after the next big win. However, Coach Hale saw how much those big wins meant to us. I'll never forget the night we beat Texas. And he saw all of us Texas kids on the team cheering almost in tears. We were so happy we got a shutout against them. And I think he then learned, that was the mentality and that was the culture of the team. And that's the way it was going to be from here on out.
Haley Van Fossen for Arkansas down in the back after looked like maybe a little
Cadena, Cincinnati native. 14 goals as a freshman way back when, a couple of years ago. That's a nice how do you do to the world of college soccer too, when you have that type of first season.
Now, there weren't too many people that, if anybody, that she snuck up on in that freshman year. Everybody knew she was coming. It was kind of the same thing for that player as well, Parker Goins, coming in as a freshman. Weren't too many people that were surprised by the level of success that she had early on and has maintained throughout the course of her career, even through a serious injury. And those two players on that Mac Herman Trophy watch list, where Arkansas has really grown accustomed to having players on that list.
BYU will say we've got two of those as well, which I think is part of the subplot in this matchup.
Cameron Tucker making her season debut here tonight. Still playing limited minutes though, and certainly not at full strength, but they wanted to get her out there tonight for some minutes and try to work her back in. And as you pointed out earlier, Brett, Coulihan, who we see right there on the challenge, she's banged up right now as well.
Going to be about 3 or 4 weeks in total for Tucker that she was unable to see any action after that injury in the exhibition game against Weber State.
Good idea on the through ball, but just too much on it out ahead of Goins. Kylie Delaney played that through for Arkansas. Another underclassman, but they think a lot of her. A lot of potential there. Another corner coming for BYU.
I think the one thing BYU really tries to do, though, is make their opponents uncomfortable, and I think that's probably the one area where they haven't succeeded tonight. And obviously when Arkansas scored first, that does change that dynamic.
Well, and I think you kind of called out one of the main things, Brett, in the top of the broadcast. Arkansas coming off of 2 losses, and we can say it's a product of the schedule with playing on the road at a couple of top 5 teams in North Carolina and Duke. But for this Arkansas team, they don't care who the losses are to, and so it's not that there's never the urgency to win there, but you almost came into this like home opener. If there was a must win in the third week of the season, I think this was it for this group, for the standard they hold themselves
You might
to.
be right. And Kelly, when you're 12-4 last year, you lose 4 all year. You don't want to start 0-3 in any universe.
Oh, no, absolutely. They came out tonight hungry for this win.
These two will get to see each other again, of course. The agreement was a home and home.
Up in Provo next year. I think that'll be a fantastic road trip, another rematch.
Won't be this Arkansas team's first trip up to Provo, although they've never played at BYU against the Cougars, but they were sent there in the NCAA tournament a couple of years back.
Those are games I'm definitely jealous that they get to play nowadays in this program, because we didn't get to play them until we made it to the SEC or to the NCAA tournament.
Warner having to go from way out. Tara Warner for BYU.
The match for the Razorbacks, number 21, Ava Tankersley. Replacing number 3, Kylie Delaney.
Tankersley back in for Delaney. Delaney had a tremendous first half against North Carolina. And again, you see a lot of different players getting quality minutes, playing time tonight. Obviously, for Arkansas, it helps when you're working from ahead rather than behind. You can more strategically incorporate some of your players without feeling like you have to have your unit on that could possibly score to tie or come back.
Good clean tackle there by Swindle. Talk a lot about Van Fossen because of her tenure here, and of course Bree Hunter, but Swindle, the youngest of those three, she has got tremendous ability from an outside back position and very good offensive threat too when she comes forward. Slotted through, and a quick one-time hit to near post. Warner a little bobble, but able to secure it.
Well, she did everything she could to secure that ball against her body. Thought maybe there was a little bit of a wobble too. Let's see if she got this one clean, and no, there was the bobble. Is it a helpless feeling?
Yes, it is. It's a terrifying feeling.
"13 shots tonight for BYU. Flick on through, and the offsides flag goes up. Backline able to hold for Arkansas. First time tonight that BYU is called offside. Right back to the middle and leaves a point blank fire, and that really had some pepper on it, but Warner handled it, and she was not happy because you never clear it to the middle.
Yes, no, that was a great hold by Warner, but yes, you can see the frustration in her after she caught it.
She wasn't bashful about sharing her displeasure.
That's a great attitude to have as a keeper.
Had that shot on goal been a couple of feet higher, it would have been 2-1.
1 minute remaining in the match.
Final minute of play here in Fayetteville. Arkansas scored early in the match off of a miscue in the back by BYU. This played forward, a step ahead to the 18. Warner comes forward and got a piece of it, and then cleared out of the 6 as Rachel McCarthy came in on the attack. Warner and company